The rain came down hard that evening. Tae-young pulled his old jacket tighter as he walked up the muddy path to his cabin. His boots were heavy with wet earth. The shopping bags in his hands felt heavier than usual. He was tired. The walk from the village always seemed longer when it rained. He lived alone on the mountainside, far from the busy parts of New Haven Colony. Most people lived in the cities below, where the lights never went dark and the buildings touched the sky. Tae-young used to live there too. He used to be an engineer, fixing big machines and building things that mattered. But that was before his wife died, before the loneliness became too much. Now he just wanted peace and quiet. The thunder rolled across the sky. Lightning flashed. Tae-young looked up at his cabin and stopped walking. Something was wrong. There was something on his porch. Something big. At first, he thought a tree had fallen. Maybe the storm knocked it down. But trees did not glow. This thing had a soft silver light coming from it. Tae-young put down his bags and moved closer. His heart beat faster. Another flash of lightning lit up the mountain. Tae-young saw it clearly now. It was not a tree. It was not a machine. It was a creature. A massive creature with scales that shimmered like metal. Wings, torn and bleeding, spread across his entire porch. A long tail curled around the wooden posts. The head was huge, with horns that curved back like a crown. A dragon. Tae-young had heard stories about dragons. Everyone had. They were called the Skyborn, an ancient race that ruled the stars long before humans left Earth. But those were just stories. Legends. Nobody had seen a real dragon in hundreds of years. Most people thought they were gone forever. But here one was, bleeding on his porch. Tae-young should have been scared. Any smart person would run away, call the authorities, hide. But Tae-young looked at the dragon and saw something he understood. Pain. The creature was hurt badly. Burn marks covered its silver scales. One wing looked almost destroyed. Blood, dark and thick, pooled beneath it. The dragon's eye opened. Just one eye. It was golden, bright like the sun, and it looked right at Tae-young. They stared at each other for a long moment. Tae-young did not move. He did not run. He just looked back. The dragon made a sound, low and rumbling like distant thunder. Then the golden eye closed. The creature went still. Tae-young stood in the rain, thinking. He should call someone. The colonial government. The military. Someone who knew about these things. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the way the dragon looked at him. Not with anger or threat. With exhaustion. With hope. Tae-young made his decision. He went to his storage shed and pulled out every tarp he owned. His hands worked fast. He rigged up a shelter over the dragon, using the porch roof and the tarps to keep the rain off. It was not perfect, but it would help. Next came the hard part. The dragon was wounded. Tae-young had medical supplies, but they were meant for humans. Still, he had to try something. He climbed carefully onto the porch, moving around the massive body. The dragon did not move. Its breathing was shallow and slow. Tae-young cleaned the wounds as best he could. The burn marks looked like they came from plasma weapons. Military grade. Someone had attacked this creature. Someone had tried to kill it. He used bandages that looked tiny against the dragon's scales. He applied medicine that probably would not work on alien biology. But he did what he could. The work took hours. By the time Tae-young finished, he was soaked through and exhausted. He sat on his porch steps, under the small dry spot he had saved for himself, and watched the dragon breathe. In and out, slow but steady. What did you get yourself into? Tae-young whispered to the unconscious creature. And what did I just get myself into? The storm continued through the night. Tae-young did not sleep. He sat watch, keeping an eye on the dragon. Sometimes the creature would twitch or make a sound. Once, a small flame came from its nostrils. But it never woke up. Morning came gray and cold. The rain had stopped, but clouds still covered the sky. Tae-young made coffee and brought his chair outside. The dragon had not moved. He checked the bandages. Some were already soaked through with blood. He changed them. "You are a tough one," he said quietly. "Hold on. Just hold on." 3 days passed like this. Tae-young kept watch. He changed bandages. He brought water and left it near the dragon's mouth. though he did not know if it would drink. He talked to the creature sometimes, telling it stories about his life, about his wife, about the city he left behind, about why he chose this lonely mountain. On the second day, Bora came by. She was a young woman from the village who ran the supply shop. She brought groceries sometimes when Tae-young could not make the trip. "Tae-young," she called from the path. "Are you home? I brought your—" She stopped. She saw the dragon. "Please," Tae-young said, stepping between her and the creature. "Please do not tell anyone." Bora stared with wide eyes. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. "It is hurt," Tae-young explained. "Someone attacked it. It came here to hide. If the wrong people find out, they will come. They will finish what they started." "That is a dragon," Bora whispered. "I know. A real dragon." "Yes. On your porch. I can see that." Bora looked at the dragon, then at Tae-young, then back at the dragon. Slowly, she nodded. "Okay, I will not tell. But you need more medical supplies. And food. A lot of food. Do dragons eat food?" "I do not know," Tae-young admitted. "I will bring things. Just in case." Bora turned to leave, then stopped. "Tae-young, you are either very brave or very crazy." "Maybe both," he said with a tired smile. On the third day, something changed. Tae-young woke from a short nap to see ships in the sky. Not human ships. These were different, dark metal with strange angles. They moved slowly, searching. Tae-young felt cold fear run through him. They were looking for the dragon. They were looking for his guest. He stood up and looked at the sleeping creature. "I hope you wake up soon," he said, "because I think we are running out of time." The ships continued their search, moving across the mountains like hunting birds. Tae-young pulled the tarps tighter and made sure the dragon was hidden from above. His hand shook slightly. He had made his choice 3 days ago. He would not change it now. Whatever happened next, he would face it. The dragon slept on, and Tae-young kept watch. The fourth morning came with sunshine. Tae-young was making breakfast when he heard a sound from the porch. Not the small sounds a dragon made in sleep. This was different. Movement. Real movement. He rushed outside with his coffee still in hand. The dragon was changing. Its body glowed with bright silver light. The massive form began to shift and shrink. Scales turned to skin. Wings folded and disappeared. The tail pulled back into nothing. The light grew brighter until Tae-young had to look away. When the light faded, a man stood on the porch. He was tall, taller than any human Tae-young had seen. His hair was silver like starlight. His eyes were still golden, still bright like the sun. He wore strange clothes that looked like they were made from metal threads. Even in human form, he looked powerful, dangerous. The man stumbled and caught himself on the porch railing. He looked at Tae-young. His golden eyes were sharp and suspicious. "Why?" the man said. His voice was deep and strange. The words came out wrong, like he was speaking a different language and something was translating for him. "Why what?" Tae-young asked, setting down his coffee. "Why did you help me?" The man looked confused, angry even. "What do you want?" Tae-young thought about the question. "You were hurt. That is all that mattered." The man stared at him like he had said something impossible. "That is not a reason. Everyone wants something. Payment, favor, power. What do you want from me?" "Nothing," Tae-young said simply. "I wanted nothing. You needed help. I gave it." The man kept staring. He opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. He looked around at the tarps, the bandages, the medical supplies. He touched his chest where the worst wounds had been. They were healing now, faster than human wounds would. "You are human," the man said. It was not a question. "Yes, I am a Null. I am Skyborn. You know what that means." "Dragon," Tae-young said. "I know the stories. Ancient race. Very powerful. Thought to be gone. Not gone. Hiding. Running." Hanul sat down heavily on the porch steps. He looked tired. "The Void Claw Empire betrayed us. They attacked during a peace meeting. Killed many of my people. I was traveling alone when they found me. I fought, but there were too many. I flew here to escape them, to not lead them to populated areas. Tae-young sat down next to him. Those ships in the sky, they are looking for you. Yes, Void Claw scouts. They know I crashed somewhere in these mountains. They will search until they find me. Hanul looked at the older man. You should not have helped me. Now you are in danger too. Maybe, Tae-young said, but I would make the same choice again. Hanul shook his head slowly. I do not understand you. In my world, every action has a price. Every kindness hides a knife. But you ask for nothing. Not everyone is playing games, Tae-young said. He picked up his coffee and took a sip. It was getting cold. Some people just try to be good. They sat in silence for a while. The morning sun warmed the mountain. Birds sang in the trees. It was peaceful, strange, considering a powerful alien sat next to him and enemy ships hunted overhead. Tell me about yourself, Hanul said finally. This human who saves dragons. Tae-young smiled a little. Not much to tell. I used to be an engineer. Worked in the city. Built things. Fixed things. I was married to a woman named Hygiene. She was everything to me. Smart. Kind. Always laughing. His smile faded. She got sick 5 years ago. Colony disease. The doctors could not save her. After she died, I could not stay in the city. Too many memories. Too much noise. So I came here. To be alone. To be quiet. You ran away? Hanul said. Yes, Tae-young admitted. I ran away. Same as you. Hanul looked at him with surprise. Then something changed in his golden eyes. Understanding, maybe. We are both running then. I suppose we are. More silence. Comfortable this time. I need something, Hanul said. To heal completely. To regain my strength. There's a mineral, very rare. It grows in deep caves. Here on this planet, I can sense it in the mountains to the north. If I had some, I could heal in days instead of weeks. Then we will get it, Tae-young said. It is dangerous. The caves are unstable, and the Void Claw are searching. I have been in caves before, and I am good at not being seen. Tae-young stood up. You stay here and rest. I will bring what you need. You would risk your life for me again? Hanul asked. Why? Because you are my guest, Tae-young said simply, and guests should be taken care of. That afternoon, Bora returned. She brought 3 large bags of supplies. When she saw Hanul in his human form, she nearly dropped everything. Bora, this is Hanul, Tae-young said. Hanul, this is Bora. She runs a village shop. She knows about you and has kept a secret. Hanul stood and bowed slightly. Thank you for your discretion. You can talk, Bora said, still staring. And you look human now. Sort of. I can take many forms. This one is easier for conversation. Hanul looked at the supplies. You have brought much. Thank you. Bora set the bags down. Tae-young, I need to tell you something. There are soldiers in the village. Not human soldiers. Aliens. They are asking questions about crashed ships or strange lights in the mountains. They are searching houses. Tae-young and Hanul exchanged looks. Void Claw ground troops, Hanul said quietly. They are getting desperate. How long before they come here? Tae-young asked. Maybe 2 days. Maybe less, Bora said. The village is small. They will check every home. Tae-young thought fast. Then we need to move faster. Bora, can your brother June help? I need someone who knows the northern mountains. June knows them better than anyone. He hunts there. But, Tae-young, what are you planning? I'm going to get the minerals Hanul needs. Tonight, before the soldiers get closer. That is too dangerous, Hanul said. Standing up, I should leave now. Lead them away from here. Away from you and your village. No, Tae-young said firmly. You are still weak. You would not survive another attack. We do this my way. Why do you care so much? Hanul's voice rose. You do not know me. I am nothing to you. Let me go. Save yourself. Tae-young looked at the tall alien with golden eyes. When my wife was dying, she told me something. She said the world has enough people who look away, who choose safety over kindness. She made me promise to be different, to be better. He picked up his jacket. I made a promise. I keep my promises. The northern mountains were dark and cold. Tae-young, Bora, and June moved carefully along the rocky path. June led the way with a flashlight. He was a quiet man, tall and strong from years of farming and hunting. He did not ask many questions when Bora told him about the dragon. He just grabbed his gear and came. The caves are 2 hours from here, June said quietly. We need to watch for loose rocks. People have died in these mountains. Tae-young adjusted his backpack. Inside were tools, ropes, and empty containers of minerals. His old engineering training was coming back. He had explored caves before, long ago, when he was young and adventurous. Before life became complicated, they walked in silence. Above them, stars filled the sky. But every now and then, Tae-young saw moving lights. Ships, still searching. Do you think he is telling the truth? June asked suddenly. The dragon, about why he is here. Yes, Tae-young said without hesitation. I believe him. Why? Because he could have killed me easily, could have taken what he wanted, but he did not. He just needed help. Tae-young climbed over a fallen log. Sometimes you have to trust your gut feeling. June nodded slowly. Bora said the same thing. She has a good feeling about him, too. They reached the cave entrance after 2 hours of hard walking. It was a dark opening in the mountainside, like a mouth waiting to swallow them. Cold air came from inside, smelling of stone and earth. I have been inside before, June said, but only the first chamber. It goes deep, very deep. Tae-young pulled out his old scanner from his backpack. It was a tool from his engineering days, used to find metal deposits and structural weaknesses. He hoped it would work for finding the minerals Hanul described. Let me go first, he said. I know how to read cave structures. They entered slowly. The flashlight beams cut through the darkness. Water dripped from the ceiling. Their footsteps echoed. The cave was beautiful in a dangerous way. Crystal formations grew from the walls, catching the light and throwing it back in rainbow colors. Tae-young checked his scanner. There, the readings are stronger deeper in. We need to go down. They found a passage that sloped downward. It was narrow and slippery. They used ropes to steady themselves. Down and down they went into the heart of the mountain. After 30 minutes of careful climbing, they reached a large chamber. Tae-young's scanner went wild. The readings were everywhere. He shined his light on the walls and gasped. The minerals were there, glowing stones, pale blue and silver, growing from the rock like frozen fire. They pulsed with soft light, making the whole chamber glow. Beautiful, Bora whispered. And exactly what we need, Tae-young said. He pulled out his tools and began carefully extracting the minerals. They came free in chunks, surprisingly warm to the touch. He filled 2 containers, making sure to take enough. We should hurry, June said, looking back the way they came. I do not like being underground this long. They had just finished packing when they heard it. A sound from above. Voices. Speaking in a language Tae-young did not know. Someone is in the cave, Bora whispered, her eyes wide. They turned off their flashlights and stood very still. The voices got louder. Footsteps echoed. Then light appeared in the passage they had used to come down. Harsh white light, not like human flashlights. Through the narrow passage came soldiers. They were not human. Their armor was dark and covered with sharp angles. Their faces were hidden behind helmets. They carried weapons that glowed with red light. Void claw soldiers. Tae-young's heart pounded. They were trapped. The only way out was through the passage the soldiers had just entered from. June slowly pulled out his hunting knife. It looked small and useless compared to the alien weapons. Bora grabbed a rock. Tae-young looked around desperately for another way out. The soldiers had not seen them yet. They were scanning the chamber with devices, looking for something, looking for traces of Hanul. Probably, Tae-young spotted it. Another passage, small and half hidden behind a crystal formation. He pointed to it silently. Bora and June saw it and nodded. They moved slowly, carefully, trying not to make any sound. The minerals in the backpack clinked softly. Tae-young froze. One of the soldiers turned toward the sound. "Go!" Tae-young whispered. They ran for the passage. The soldiers shouted. Red light filled the chamber as weapons fired. The beams hit the cave walls, exploding rock into hot fragments. Tae-young felt heat pass close to his head. They squeezed into the narrow passage. It was tight, barely wide enough for one person. Perfect. The soldiers in their bulky armor could not follow easily. The passage twisted and turned. They ran in darkness, hands touching the walls to guide them. Behind them, the soldiers struggled to follow. More weapon fire, more shouting. The passage opened suddenly into another chamber. This one had a stream running through it, and another exit. Fresh air came from above. "This way!" June shouted. He knew these mountains. He knew there must be another way out. They followed the stream upward. The water made the rocks slippery. Bora fell once, catching herself on the edge. Tae-young pulled her up. They kept moving. The exit was small, barely a crack in the mountain, but it led outside. They squeezed through one by one, emerging onto a different part of the mountain face. Below them, they could see lights. The soldiers were coming out of the main cave entrance, searching. "We need to move away from here," June said. "Fast." They half ran, half slid down the mountainside. Tae-young's lungs burned. His legs ached, but he kept the backpack close, protecting the precious minerals inside. It took them 3 hours to get back to the cabin. They took a longer route to avoid the soldiers. By the time they saw Tae-young's home, the sun was starting to rise. Hanul was standing on the porch, looking toward the mountains. When he saw them, relief crossed his face, then concern when he saw they were running. "They found us," Tae-young gasped, climbing onto Porch. "Voidclaw, in the caves. Are you hurt?" Hanul asked, checking each of them. "No, we got away." Tae-young pulled out the containers of minerals. "And we got what you need." Hanul took the containers. His golden eyes widened when he saw what was inside. "This is perfect. More than perfect. This is enough to fully heal me." He looked at the 3 humans, exhausted and dirty. "You risked everything for this." "For me." "We made it," Bora said, sitting down heavily. "That is what matters." June looked toward the village. "But they know someone was in those caves. They will search more now. They will come here." "How long do we have?" Tae-young asked. "Maybe until tonight. Maybe less." June's face was grim. Hanul held the minerals tightly. "Then I must begin the healing process now. It will take several hours. I will be vulnerable during that time." "We will protect you," Tae-young said. "Against trained soldiers with advanced weapons?" Hanul shook his head. "You cannot." "Watch us," Bora said with fire in her eyes. Tae-young went to his storage shed and pulled out everything useful. Old tools that could be weapons. Wire for traps. His engineering mind went to work. If soldiers came, he would make them regret it. June went back to the village to warn people and get help. Bora helped Tae-young set up defenses around the cabin. Simple traps. Hidden wires. Anything that might slow down attackers. Inside, Hanul began the healing process. He sat cross-legged on the floor, the minerals arranged around him. He started to glow with that silver light again. His eyes closed. His breathing slowed. Tae-young sat on the porch with an old rifle across his lap. It was almost funny. Him, a retired engineer, preparing to fight alien soldiers. But he had made his choice days ago. He would see it through. The morning sun rose higher. Birds sang, unaware of the danger. Somewhere in the mountains, soldiers were tracking them, coming closer. Tae-young checked his rifle one more time. "Come on, then," he said quietly to the empty forest. "Let's see what happens when you threaten my home." Behind him, through the window, silver light grew brighter as the dragon healed. The soldiers came at noon. Tae-young saw them first, moving through the trees below his cabin. 6 of them, armed and armored. They moved carefully, scanning everything with their devices. Taeyong's first trap caught two of them, a wire he had strung between trees at ankle height. When they tripped it, a heavy log swung down from above. The soldiers went down hard, not dead, but hurt enough to stay down. The other four spread out, more cautious now. They fired their weapons at the cabin. Red beams burned holes through his walls. Taeyong stayed low, moving from window to window. He fired his old rifle. The shot was not meant to kill, just to warn, to slow them down. The bullet hit near one soldier's feet. They took cover behind trees. Bora was at the back of the cabin with her own rifle. She was a better shot than Taeyong. She aimed carefully and fired. One soldier's weapon exploded in his hands. He fell back, cursing in his alien language. Inside the cabin, Hanul continued to glow. The healing was not finished. He could not help yet. 3 soldiers remained active. They moved closer, using the trees for cover. Taeyong knew his traps and old weapons would not hold him forever. He needed a miracle. He got something better. He got the village. June came first, running up the path with his hunting rifle. Behind him came more people. Farmers with tools. Shopkeepers with whatever they could carry. Old Mrs. Yuna with her husband's military rifle from the colonial wars. Young Dorian with his father's shotgun. More than 20 villagers, all coming to help. The Void Claw soldiers stopped advancing. They had not expected this. Humans, poorly armed but determined, surrounding them. Leave now. June shouted in basic trade language, or we will make you leave. One soldier laughed. He raised his weapon toward June. Taeyong fired first. The bullet hit the soldier's helmet, cracking it. The soldier stumbled backward. Then everyone fired. The sound was deafening. Bullets and plasma beams filled the air. The 3 soldiers retreated, firing as they went. One was hit in the leg. Another's armor was smoking from multiple hits. They ran, back down the mountain, dragging their wounded with them. The villagers cheered. But Taeyong knew this was not over. They will come back, with more soldiers. We just made them angry. As if answering him, the skies suddenly lit up, not with the sun, with something else. Something massive. Ships appeared. Huge ships, bigger than anything Taeyong had ever seen. They were not Void Claw ships. These were beautiful, silver and white, shaped like birds or maybe dragons. They filled the sky, blocking out the sun. The cabin door burst open. Hanul stepped out. He was fully healed now. His wounds were gone. He stood tall and powerful, his golden eyes blazing. The silver light around him was so bright people had to look away. More ships landed in the clearing near the cabin. Soldiers came out. Not Void Claw this time. These soldiers wore armor that shimmered like scales. They moved with perfect discipline, forming ranks. A woman stepped forward from the largest ship. She was skyborn like Hanul, tall with silver hair and eyes like fire. She wore armor that marked her as someone important. She saw Hanul, and her eyes went wide. "Sky Lord," she shouted, dropping to one knee. All the soldiers behind her did the same. "We have searched for weeks. We feared you were dead." The villagers looked confused. Taeyong felt his stomach drop. "Sky Lord?" Hanul walked past the kneeling soldiers to stand before the woman. "Myri, stand up. There is no need for that here." Myri stood, but her face was full of concern. "My lord, when you did not return from your journey, we mobilized the entire fleet. Every ship, every soldier. The council feared the worst." "I was ambushed," Hanul said quietly. "By the Void Claw. They knew my route somehow. Betrayal from within our own people, I suspect. We know, my lord. We have been hunting them. When we detected their scout ships here, we came as fast as we could." Myri looked around at the simple cabin, the villagers with their old weapons. "But I do not understand. Why are you here? In this place?" Hanul turned and looked at Taeyong. "Because this human gave me shelter. He saved my life." Myri stared at Taeyong like he was an alien creature. "A human? But why would he—" She stopped. "My lord, we need to get you back to the fleet. The council is waiting, and we must respond to the Void Claw attack. Soon," Hanul said. But first, I owe these people an explanation. He walked back to where Tae-young stood with the villagers. Everyone was silent, waiting. I did not tell you everything, Hanul said to Tae-young. I am not just Skyborn. I am the Sky Lord. I command the entire Skyborn Armada. I lead the Celestial Council. In your terms, I am like a king, or a president, but with military power across 3 galactic sectors. Tae-young blinked. Then he started laughing. He could not help it. Here he was, a simple retired engineer, and he had been keeping the most powerful being in 3 sectors of space on his porch. You could have mentioned that, Tae-young said when he stopped laughing. Would it have changed anything? Hanul asked, would you have helped me differently? No, Tae-young admitted. I suppose not. Hanul smiled. It was the first real smile Tae-young had seen from him. That is why I did not tell you. You saw someone who needed help. Not a title. Not power. Just another living being in pain. That is rare. Precious. More ships were landing now. Officials in fancy clothes emerged, looking worried and angry. They saw Hanul alive, and their faces showed relief. Then they saw the simple cabin and the confused villagers, and their faces showed shock. One official, old with white hair, approached. Sky Lord Hanul, we must discuss the response to the Void Claw aggression. The council has prepared several options. Later, Hanul said firmly, first, I have declarations to make. He raised his voice so everyone could hear, Skyborn and human alike. I, Sky Lord Hanul, leader of the Skyborn people, declare that this village and all its people are under my eternal protection. Any who harm them answer to me personally. This human, Tae-young and his friends Bora and June, are named as honored guests of the Skyborn nation. They will want for nothing. Myri's eyes went even wider. My lord, that is an incredible honor. The council will accept my decision, Hanul said. His voice was kind but left no room for argument. These people risked everything for me. They asked for nothing, expected nothing. In a galaxy full of politicians and schemers, they were simply good. That deserves recognition. Tae-young stepped forward. We do not need rewards. We just did what was right. I know, Hanul said softly. That is exactly why you deserve them. Ships continued to arrive. The small mountain clearing was becoming crowded. Colonial government officials appeared too, looking terrified and excited. They had no idea what to do with the most powerful alien leader in known space, standing in their territory. Bora leaned close to Tae-young. Did we just accidentally start an intergalactic incident? I think we started several, Tae-young replied. Young Doyen raised his hand nervously. Excuse me? What about the Void Claw soldiers we shot at? Myri smiled coldly. Do not worry, human. They will not trouble you again. In fact, the entire Void Claw Empire is about to have a very bad day. Hanul looked out at his gathered fleet in the sky. Hundreds of ships, thousands of soldiers, all here because one human showed kindness to a stranger. Myri, he said, send a message to the Void Claw High Command. Tell them I am alive. Tell them I am coming. And tell them that because of what I learned here, I am offering them one chance to surrender with honor. One chance. And if they refuse? Myri asked. Hanul's golden eyes hardened. Then they learn why our people are called Skyborn, and why I am called their lord. He turned back to Tae-young. I must leave soon. There is much to do, but I will return. I promise you that. I will be here, Tae-young said, fixing my cabin, living my quiet life. It will not be so quiet anymore, Hanul said with a slight smile. You just became the most famous human in the galaxy. Tae-young groaned. That was exactly what he did not want. But as he looked at the massive ships in the sky and the dragon lord who had become his friend, he thought maybe, just maybe, it was worth it. The war with the Void Claw Empire lasted 3 weeks. Tae-young watched it on the news like everyone else in the galaxy. Hanul had kept his promise. He offered them one chance to surrender. They refused. What happened next became legend. The Skyborn fleet moved through Void Claw territory like a storm. But Hanul fought differently than before. He gave every enemy ship a chance to surrender first. Those who laid down weapons were spared. Those who fought were defeated quickly, but their crews were rescued and treated fairly. The old Hanul, people said, would have destroyed everything. The new Hanul offered mercy. Word spread fast. More and more Voidclaw ships surrendered without fighting. Their soldiers were tired of a war started by greedy leaders. In the end, the Voidclaw High Command had no choice. They came to Hanul's flagship and bent their knees. The Empire became a vassal state of the Skyborn, but Hanul did not enslave them. He gave them fair terms. Protection in exchange for peace. Trade instead of tribute. He learned it from you, Boris said one evening as they watched the news. That mercy is stronger than cruelty. Tae-young just shook his head. He was always capable of it. He just needed a reason to try. While the war ended, something bigger began. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Every major species sent representatives. They wanted to talk about humanity and what happened on New Haven. Some aliens were jealous. How did these weak humans gain the favor of the Skyborn? Some were angry. Why should humanity get special treatment? Some were afraid. If the Skyborn protected humans, what did that mean for galactic politics? The council met on a neutral station in deep space. Representatives argued for weeks. Tae-young knew because reporters kept coming to his cabin, asking for interviews. He refused them all. He just wanted his quiet life back. But quiet was over. Hanul returned 1 month after he left. His ship landed in the same clearing, now cleared and expanded to handle regular traffic. He came alone this time, in his human form, wearing simple clothes. You look tired, Tae-young said as Hanul climbed onto the porch. Politics is more exhausting than war, Hanul admitted. Sitting in the chair Tae-young offered. But I bring news. Good news. He pulled out a small device and projected an image into the air. It showed a document covered in alien writing and symbols. The Haven Accords, Hanul said, named after this planet. After what happened here, I proposed it to Galactic Council 3 days ago. They voted to accept it this morning. What is it? Tae-young asked. A new framework for how species interact, based on cooperation instead of conquest, on helping instead of hurting, on the principles you showed me. Hanul smiled. Your species, humanity, is now a full member of the Galactic Council. You have voting rights, trade rights, access to technology and knowledge, and you have the protection of the Skyborn Armada. Tae-young sat down heavily. Because I let you sleep on my porch. Because you showed the galaxy what truly matters, Hanul corrected. Power is easy. Any species can build weapons. But compassion? That is rare. That is valuable. Over the next year, everything changed. Human ships began traveling to alien worlds. Trade routes opened. Students from Earth and the colonies went to study on distant planets. Alien students came to human universities. Bora was chosen as the first human ambassador to the Skyborn homeworld. She was nervous but excited. I am just a shopkeeper, she told Tae-young before she left. You are someone who kept a secret to protect a friend, he replied. That makes you perfect for the job. June became the leader of an agricultural exchange program. He taught aliens about human farming while learning their methods. He traveled to 15 different worlds in 6 months. When he came back to visit, he brought seeds from plants that grew on planets with 3 suns. Look at this, he said excitedly, showing Tae-young a flower that glowed in the dark. Imagine what we can grow now. The village changed too. It became famous. Beings from across the galaxy came to see where the Sky Lord had been sheltered, where ordinary humans stood against soldiers to protect a stranger, where everything began. But the villagers stayed humble. They welcomed visitors and told their story, but they did not brag. They just went back to their normal lives as much as possible. Tae-young refused all official titles. The human government offered to make him an ambassador. The colonial leadership wanted to name him governor. He said no to everything. I am just a retired engineer, he told them. Let me stay that way. But he did accept one thing. The Skyborn offered him a pension, enough to live comfortably. enough to fix his cabin properly, and maybe buy some better tools. He took it, but only after Hanul insisted. "You are the reason I am alive," Hanul said. "Let me help you in return." Hanul visited often, sometimes for important reasons, meetings with human leaders or colonial officials, but mostly just to sit on the porch and talk. They became true friends, the ancient dragon lord and the lonely engineer. 2 years after their first meeting, Taeyong stood on his porch watching the sunset. His cabin was repaired now. The bullet holes were patched. The burn marks were painted over. But he kept one thing the same: the spot where he first found Hanul. He left those boards untouched, scorch marks and all. A shadow passed overhead. Hanul in his dragon form, silver scales catching the dying light. He landed in the clearing and transformed, walking up to join Taeyong. "Another peace treaty signed," Hanul said, sitting in his usual chair. "The Krell Federation and the Turian Alliance. They had been enemies for 200 years. Today they became partners. Because of the Haven Accords?" Taeyong asked. "Because of the example set here. One person choosing to be kind, others following that example." Hanul looked out at the mountains. "You changed the galaxy, my friend." "I just offered a place to rest," Taeyong said quietly. "Sometimes that is all it takes." Hanul pulled out 2 cups and a bottle of wine from Earth, a gift from Bora, to small kindnesses with big consequences. They touched cups and drank as the sun set. In the sky above, ships from a dozen worlds passed by in peace. Human ships, skyborne ships, ships from species that used to be enemies now flying together. Down in the village, the lights came on. Families sat down to dinner. Children played in the streets. Life went on, simple and peaceful, under protection of forces they could barely imagine, all because one man decided that a wounded stranger deserved help. Taeyong thought about his wife sometimes, about the promise he made to her, to be someone who did not look away, to choose kindness over safety. He liked to think she would be proud. "What are you thinking about?" Hanul asked. "That I miss my wife, but I think she would have liked you. I wish I could have met her. She would have made you eat vegetables and asked about your family." Taeyong said with a smile. "She did not care about titles." "She sounds wonderful." They sat in comfortable silence, 2 friends from different worlds, watching the stars come out. The galaxy had changed. Wars had ended. Alliances had formed. Humanity had found its place among the stars. But here, on this mountain, in this simple cabin, everything stayed the same in the ways that mattered. Friendship, trust, the quiet comfort of good company. Hanul raised his cup again. To Taeyong, the human who sheltered the sky, the man who changed everything by simply being good. "To Hygiene," Taeyong replied, "who taught me how." They drank as night fell, and somewhere in the cosmos, on 1,000 worlds, beings told the story of the dragon and the engineer, of how kindness saved a life, and how that one life changed the fate of everyone. Some stories are about heroes who fight battles. Some are about warriors who conquer enemies. But the best stories, the ones that matter most, are about ordinary people who choose to be kind when they could have walked away. This was one of those stories. And it all started with a weary dragon sleeping on a porch, and a man who decided that was enough reason to care.